Right.
Hello and welcome to Taylor Tape's debate on Fedor.
Is Fedor still relevant, or is he still as good as he used to be and stuff?
He doesn't like him, I do. I don't know why he doesn't like him. He's got a thing against him.
I don't dislike him as a person. I don't dislike him as a fighter. He's an exciting fighter to watch, but he's not the best.
Anymore, I agree.
Anymore now, but he wasn't the best when people thought he was the best.
He was. He was just dominating. If he had come to UFC, he would have been heavyweight champion for about 5 years.
No, man.
Yeah.
No. I mean, look, right. Overeem would beat the crap out of him. I mean...
Yeah, he would now, yeah.
Yeah, but he would have beaten him. Overeem would have beat him about, before Fabricio Verdun beat him.
Yeah, he's got a very good history against strikers.
I mean, listen. Fedor beat... You know when he beat Hongman Choi?
Yeah.
That was almost... I don't see how that is like...
That doesn't compare to a proper fight.
Because he's not... I don't count Hongman Choi as a fighter, particularly.
Yeah. He's just
also,
big.
What's the massive black dude he fought?
The big sumo guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, but...
I don't count.
Yeah, there has been a few...
He's had lots of fights. Like, I can think of two off the top of my head, but there are a few which are against people who he's been clearly set up to beat. Do you know what I mean? I mean, also... I would have... With Arlovsky, right? That...
Oh, you could have gone about Arlovsky's chin.
But his chin is shit. Oh, everybody knows Arlovsky's chin is shit.
He said earlier that if you threw a bunny at him, you could knock him out.
Well, Arlovsky was beating Fedor in that fight.
Yeah, he was still...
He
wasn't beating him. It was about...
He was winning.
A minute long.
No, he was winning, though. He was winning that first minute. He was winning. He was beating Fedor.
He was winning that first minute. He was. Except for Fedor knocked him out after about a minute.
And then he pulled a
How can you say...
He was winning, though.
How can you say...
You could say, look, Gray Maynard won the first minute of their fight with Frank Cago.
He won the first round.
Yeah, but he won the first minute.
Yeah, but if you knock someone out in the first round, you sort of won the first round, haven't you?
You sort of won the... Yeah, I know what you mean.
You've won the fight, you've won the first round.
Arlovsky, it was going Arlovsky's way until he pulled a stupid move, if you know what I mean.
Fine.
Just like how... Look, right, when Fedor beat Brett Rogers, right, Brett Rogers was winning that fight. Now, we've just seen Brett Rogers get dominated by Josh Barnett. And I know you can't say because one fighter beat this fighter that it doesn't work like that. But it doesn't work like you can't say that. But I mean, Brett Rogers was clearly beating Fedor until Fedor
didn't win though, did he?
Until Fedor
did he
caught a lucky
punch. Did he win?
No, he didn't win. He didn't win. No, but I'm saying, if he was the best of all time, like Anderson Silva, they wouldn't get the chance to start beating on him. Like
that's because Anderson Silva's in his prime.
Yeah, but when Fedor wasn't in his prime, he wasn't fighting like particularly huge names.
Yushin Okami?
Well, no, that's not Fedor in his prime. I mean, that's not Anderson Silva in his prime.
Yeah, he is. He's in his prime at the moment.
Well, yeah, but Yushin Okami...
He almost got beaten by Chael Sonnen.
What? Yeah, no, but Chael Sonnen's a tough motherfucker.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that he fought which are tough. Tim Sylvia.
Tim Sylvia's shit.
He was UFC heavyweight champion.
I know, in UFC, but
he's beaten a lot of people, man.
Alright, I would put him, when he was in his prime, he'd be in the top 5 for me.
Top 5.
But definitely not number 1.
He's GOAT for me, Maybe not for long because of people like...
How old is Fedor now? 38?
I think, might be 39. But I mean, yeah, because of people like Anderson Silva, and I think in a few years he'll be GOAT.
I think that Anderson Silva is going to be maybe even John Jones when, let's say 10 years in the future, when Anderson Silva's retired, I reckon he'll be remembered as the greatest of all time. Yeah.
But he's got to get to that stage first. So it's like you can't compare like I'm going on football references here. Shush. You can't compare Pele to God, I've forgotten his name.
Look, man, fucking Randy Couture beat Tim Sylvia when he came back.
Randy Couture is a good fighter.
Yeah, but when he was like 42 or 43, I can't remember. But he came back. He'd retired. He hadn't fought since like UFC like 50 something.
That's because Tim Sylvia's
old.
And
then came back and then beat Sylvia.
Tim Sylvia in his prime though. He was heavyweight champ.
No, Tim Sylvia had just left UFC to come to Strikeforce to fight Fedor. He'd just gone from the UFC. And fought Fedor after he'd lost his title.
Messi, that's the football I was looking for. Can't compare Pele to Messi.
Messi looks like Clay Guida.
Thanks for that. Pele looks like Pele. But yeah, it's in the evolution of the sport. Admittedly, if some of the fighters today fought Fedor
who do you think
in
would
his
win?
prime,
Who do you think would win? Right, in their prime. Well, if you can't really say it because they're in different weights, right? But let's say Fedor in his prime against a John Jones, right? Who do you think would win that fight?
well, he fought Hong Man Choi, who's like 7 foot.
Yeah,
so.
but Hong Man Choi doesn't count as a fighter. Hong Man Choi isn't a fighter.
As I was saying, yeah, you can't compare them to each other because the sport has evolved so ridiculously much.
Yeah.
So ridiculously much. Good English. Thanks. But I still think pioneer of the sport, greatest of all time for me. Maybe not for you.
Fedor has fought people, right? But I reckon if he was in the UFC in his prime, if he was in the UFC in his prime, and then, you know when he moved to Strikeforce, basically, if he had moved to the UFC instead of Strikeforce after he'd been in Pride,
I think he would have beaten people.
I don't think he would have done as well as he has done in Strikeforce because
I think he would because I'd say Strikeforce has more sort of fighters who are like extremes, if you know what I mean. So. Fabricio Verdum is just jiu-jitsu and he got caught in the thing.
Yeah, but
like Overeem is, I say just knockout, but he does submit people, but that's because he's beating them up a bit first. But I think in the UFC the fighters are generally not
more well-rounded.
More well-rounded. That's a huge generalisation. Don't have a go at me for it, please. But I think that sort of fighter suits Fedor better because he's so well-rounded.
What a more well-rounded fighter.
Yeah, it's like
Fedor.
GSP being worried about Jake Shields.
But he wasn't though, was he?
What do you mean, GSP?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't go to the ground though, did he?
No, but he didn't need to. He didn't need to worry about it. His Jake Shields takedown
that's the thing.
So shit. I mean, you got to think about it, right?
I am thinking about
Fedor was. I mean, Fedor has never particularly been a strong heavyweight at all.
Yeah, fine.
Right. And
yeah, that's another thing. In today's things, heavyweights have all got so much bigger because of new ways of training muscle, not steroids.
Yeah. I mean, this wasn't too long ago when Fedor was in his prime. Like 3, 4, 5 years ago.
I'd say 5, 6.
5, 6 years ago. Yeah. Okay, well, but okay. Some people still think Fedor was the best
at the moment.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely. I definitely don't agree with that.
Some people still think that though. There are trolls on the internet who think Fedor is still the best. I mean, there are people who are like, oh yeah, Fedor bounced back after that Fabricio Verdum loss, and then.
Well, yeah, I would have thought that as well.
Yeah, but when he lost to Silva, it wasn't like a stupid mistake. Yeah. It was literally him being worse than Silva. And I mean,
let's just agree to disagree.
Right. One thing I'm going to say is Fedor was in his prime. He was in my top 5, and I respect him as a fighter completely. Respect him completely as a fighter, but he isn't as good as everybody's making him out to be because he hasn't fought the people, the big
in his time.
names.
Those names were the big names.
I don't know, man. Right, I reckon if Brock Lesnar didn't have his
diverticulitis.
Yeah, if he fought Fedor.
Yeah, but as I was saying, you can't compare them.
No, you can. If he fought Fedor instead of just pretend, right? This is before Verdum had a fight with Fedor. Fedor versus Brock Lesnar.
Fedor wins.
Brock Lesnar would out-wrestle him. And
yeah, but he wouldn't get him down.
He would. Fedor isn't strong enough to stop a Brock Lesnar takedown.
Yeah, but Brock Lesnar isn't good enough on the feet to stop Fedor punching him in the face a lot.
I think he could get round it. I'm not saying Brock Lesnar's good. Yeah. Shit, Brock Lesnar's shit. Well, he's not that shit, but he is quite shit.
Anyway, we've been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah, leave comments on what you think because,
we'll try. Yeah, if we comment on it, we'll try to distinguish who's who because we'll
learn to disagree.
Yeah,
agree to disagree. Stop touching me.
Come on. Anyway, thanks for listening.
I tell you what, will beat the shit out of Fedor.
What?
Fluffy cat.
Not just a cat.
A fluffy one.
Great.
Yeah.
Bye.
Also, I want 1 minute. I just want to see when his upcoming fight against Dan Henderson, if Fedor's chin is starting to deteriorate. Because
I don't think it is.
Well,
he took a massive beating from Antonio Silva.
I know, but I'm saying I want to see if it is because if he gets knocked out or gets TKO'd quite easily, or rocked quite easily.
He's never been TKO'd.
Yeah, I know, but he might start to now because
he's been submitted once and then stopped because of cuts twice.
Well, it's sort of it was. If
Stopped
he
because
had,
of cuts
look,
twice.
No, but the second one, if that hadn't been stopped, that was going for a TKO easily.
Come
that
back,
was,
King. Come
that
back, King.
was
Anyway,
coming for a TKO.
right. We've talked for long enough.
This is probably gonna be like 11 minutes or
Yeah.
like 12 minutes.
Okay.
Anyway, cheers, guys.
Comment what you think. Watch our top fives. Watch the Henderson prediction.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.